Hi, this is Carl Andren of Andren Software Company with the SeaMarks program. In this video, I'm going to show you many of the display functions of the SeaMarks program. We have here the test file, which consists of a large amount of bogus data around the Key West area. Right now we're displaying, in this case, the first choice of display with Loran TDs and lat lon. The Loran TDs are 5-digit numbers with a decimal point and one more digit. The lat lon is in 4 digits, a decimal point, and 3 more digits. You might understand it better if we change the number format from degrees minutes with no gaps to degrees minutes with gaps. We've got 3 decimal places, and now you see the example here shows you that the numbers have changed a bit. And so we'll do it there, giving us a display perhaps a little better aligned with what you believe. Let me display it with Loran, lat lon, and range bearing. Okay, we're taking the reference point to Key West Northwest channel, and so these are the ranges to that point, and here's the Northwest channel. Currently I'm a mile off from this particular point. Looking at the display, we have several columns. We have the name column, latitude, longitude columns, a range and bearing columns, and a rating column. The rating column is basically how you can put a quality factor on the point. 4-star being a very good point, and 1-star being a poor point. But you could have just put down, oh, I got 300 pounds of fish here that day, or it's a PU, it's a reference point. I could put a NG in there. Keep in mind when you're saving waypoints, you may want to save bad waypoints and good waypoints along with the rating, so that if you run across that waypoint in the future and it's not in your list, you'll waste time checking it out again. But if you have it in your list and it says NFG, then you're not going to stop and waste time on it. The description is a 32-character thing giving you a more complete idea of what's in that point. The icon, self-explanatory. You have 36 possible icons to choose from in SeaMarks. Each of the GPS varieties has a variety of icons from 20-some to hundreds. The Garmin's tend to have hundreds, but not all of them are suitable for fishing. The depth can be in feet or meters. In this case, the CH stands for the Loran chain. In the case of the Loran chains are listed 1 through 8, with 0 being latitude and longitude. That tells you how the data was entered into the program. Date code basically tells you when it was, what date and in what order it was entered into the program. Comments is a 90-character field, and I chose these fields originally so that you could put a lot of things on one line in an 8.5 by 11 sheet, but not the comments. Comments take a whole line by themselves. Group is something that not all GPSs have, but if they do, then the group field is usable. CL is for color. You put in a single letter, generally the leading letter of the color. Since blue and black have the same leading character, I've chosen no character at all to be black and B to be blue. And then there's the Loran TDs in this case, and a column for symbols. Symbol could be a single keyboard character, or even somewhat non-keyboard character, just as long as it's a single character that makes display on a chart easier to see, because they have long names, they kind of cover one another. Going back to the display menu, there's a third choice, which is user style. User style is where you can move things around. If I drag and drop icon over to here, then I've created a different style. If I want to get rid of rating, I can make that either very small, or I can move it to the end of the list. So in order to fix that style to the way you just set it, you press this select user style or set user style, and if it says if you're ready to set the style now, you press yes, and boom, that's the user style now. Okay, the next style is display a track file. Well, in this case you don't want to display it as a track file, because that's what it does to it. It just only gets you long range bearing. Display on a chart is something you might like. Here we have the chart with lat long lines, Loran lines, the waypoints basically shown as numbers, and the coastline. This is the Key West coast. Here's Key West itself. Here's the Dry Tortugas. Chart operations menu had been blanked out earlier. Now it's active, and we have various functions in it. You have chart whole file. If you've been moving around with panning and zooming and doing lots of things, you might have gotten lost, so this will bring you back to this screen. If you want to center the chart on a waypoint, let's say on waypoint 1, I put 1 in there and I push OK, and then waypoint 1, it looks like it's right about there. You can select a new chart center. I want to make Dry Tortugas the chart center. Okay. I can select, I can zoom. Let's say I zoom out 2x. Boom. Further out. Now maybe I want to go back and get back to the original chart. Okay, how about select area? I see where there's a whole bunch of waypoints here that are very clustered. So if I hold down the left mouse key and drag down to the right, I can expand that group. You can, and if you expanded it, and okay, so let's say that I do center on waypoint number 1 again. I'll put my 1 in there, and okay, here's 1. Boom, and it's not where those others were. So let's go back to the whole chart. What's next? Make a map from the chart, or identify the waypoint. Okay. Here, if you click that and you say, okay, what's waypoint 16? That's what waypoint 16 is. If I want to see where waypoint 241 is, it's going to give you the identification out of the description column. And oops, for chart operations. Make a map from the chart, I'll get to a little later. Make a KML Loran grid. This is for Google Earth. You can make this particular Loran area into a grid to put on Google Earth. You can print the chart. You can add or delete coastlines. There's a file called features, which can have special things that if you have many files which might have the same basic area, like natural bottom versus artificial reefs versus whatever. You can have a features file which puts the same things on all of those. You can have show routes, you can have show tracks, and you can do track plotting. Track plotting is where you basically turn SeaMarks into a track plotter. And then there's charting options. Charting operation options allows you to change what's being printed. Like, for example, in this case, let's take, instead of numbers, we want names. Okay, since I didn't have very many names, here's John Sink and Glomar and a couple others, and the rest were actually numbers for names. So if I go in charting operations, I want to see dots. Dots gives you a better idea of the density of points and completely eliminates the information, although you can still go to identify waypoint to see what's what. So let's say we generally work with names. We can delete Loran lines if we don't want them. You can change these charting operations. You can do range bearing lines. This is spacing of 10 miles and 30 degrees about the reference point, which in this case is Key West Northwest at that latitude and longitude. And boom, that was more or less 0.16, and that, except it's about a mile away, as the range and bearing display said. And this gives you an idea of how far things are from the reference. Go back to chart operations. Oh, by the way, I can bring up chart operations by just clicking the left mouse key. So, take away range bearing lines, display back white on black. That would be for a nighttime display, but easier on your eyes. I'll go to charting options again. Let's take that off. Maybe I won't display colors, and you can choose what colors are what. In other words, if you don't like the Loran lines red, the lat long lines green, and range bearing lines reddish, and coastlines and green, features black, and things like that. You can pick different colors. And if you're going to print this stuff, you can set up your printer for printing it. So that's how we can change the various features on here. And that finishes going through the display options for SeaMarks. Thank you.